Hello? Sound check. One, two, one, two. Alright, let's go.
Welcome to The Good Life with David, where we talk about the goodness of life without turning a blind eye to the things that make it less good. I appreciate you listening to the podcast, and if you have not yet done so, please follow this podcast wherever you're listening. But this is only available on Spotify, Apple Podcast, and Google Podcast. Enjoy today's episode. To be right or to be kind? I had this topic lined up for the podcast already, but when I knew about the story of Lolo Narding or Lolo Nardo Flores, I just thought that it is the best fit to use as an example for the episode. Anyway, for those of you who don't know, Lolo Narding went viral when he was jailed for allegedly stealing mangoes. And now, of course, regardless of the reason, we cannot tolerate wrongdoings, even if it was done for the right reason. And as long as there is a negative component in the equation, it's still the same thing. But context matters here. Lolo Narding is an 80-year-old man who was jailed on January 13 for allegedly stealing almost 10 kilos of mangoes. But take note, he planted that mango tree, and it's just that his neighbors decided to put fences and claim the tree as their own property. Again, he was detained on January 13 and was in prison for 70s for a whole week. And imagine being at that age, accused of doing something that you didn't technically do, and you are being told that you have to pay a bail to get out. And as per reports, Lolo Narding was willing to pay the accuser. And if I'm not mistaken, the cost of the mangoes were just about 600 pesos. But the bail was 6,000 pesos. Anyway, we can see that Lolo Narding and his family wanted to settle it immediately and didn't want to make a huge fuss about it. But the accuser was so pathetic and pushed through with the complaint. And take note, this happened in April of last year, if I'm not mistaken. Now, many are backing up Lolo Narding and Stent's support and financial assistance, which is just right. And the accuser or accuser should be named unless they settle it or issue an apology. Again, Lolo Narding planted the tree, so technically speaking, they are in the wrong. They are the ones who stole from Lolo Narding. And I know it's best to hear both sides, but I'll side with Lolo Narding on this one, no matter what. Now, back to the question. When is it okay to be kind or to be right? But of course, we want to be right, to pursue what is right and just. But there are certain situations like this one when it's better to be kind. In the case of Lolo Narding, the accuser did not choose to be kind nor right. They just chose to be douchebags. I'm sorry, I'm really pissed. Anyway, we will be put in a situation where we should decide whether to be right or to be kind. But I guess we can still do it together. I mean, we can do the right thing in a kind way. For example, in a relationship, when you have an ego, of course, you would want to win every argument, no matter what. And in the process of pursuing victory over something, you get mad, you get abusive, or you do something terrible. And in relationships, I think it's far better to always choose to be kind. Because who cares if you're right if you make the other person feel so bad? And is it really worth it? Does it bring you pleasure? I think if you have an ego, the answer would be yes. And if you think that you're right, I doubt that it would be easy for you to apologize. But even so, if you choose to be kind, saying sorry would be extremely easy for you. And it makes the relationship better and functional, for me at least. But I think this is a case by case basis. Because of course, there are certain situations again where it's really better to be right or to do the right thing. Say someone did something terrible, stealing from people, committing murder, or anything similar. But for this particular case, I think the best action would be to choose kindness, not only because Lolo Narding is already old, but because he is innocent. And I wish I could give more example, but in general, I think kindness beats being right. But it would be better, I guess, if we do the right thing with kindness, if that makes sense. This is just my perspective. I know you might have a different approach on this one, so let me know. Let's have a discussion. You can message me through anchor.fm backslash the good life with David. I think you can send me a voice message through that platform and I can include that in the podcast if you would want that. Also, I will be putting the podcast on my YouTube channel at David Arahan. And currently, the first three episodes are already uploaded. And hopefully, I can get other people on board in the future. I would love to talk and interview people that can share their good life to the podcast or talk about life in general. And if you want, please send me a message. But I already have a bunch of people that I want to guest in the podcast. So you might already be on the list. And I am still new to this, but I already have plans and will work on it throughout the journey. And so I hope you'll stick around and I'll continue as long as I bring value to at least a single soul. And I hope you're okay with the quality of our audio for now. The microphone isn't the best, but I'll save money hopefully before I turn 23 this year. I'll be able to buy the microphone that I want so we can improve the quality of the audio for the podcast. But for now, I'll just work on my content or I mean the podcast quality itself. The microphones or the microphone can wait, right? Anyway, that is it for me for this episode. I hope you enjoyed the things that we talked about today. Again, this is The Good Life with David, and I hope you have an abundance of everything good. God bless you. Until next time.